It has brought China's economy to a virtual standstill and turned the once bustling city centres into eerie ghost towns. Since the COVID-19 outbreak started in December last year, the Chinese government has put more than 40 cities under lockdown. A large number of factory operations were halted at the height of the outbreak, and the Chinese economy was running at way below its usual capacity. But as real life went offline, China's online consumer businesses have experienced a massive boom. Chinese tech companies have now become the most effective support systems to help cushion the impact of the trade war and the COVID-19 outbreak, thanks to their cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, and cloud computing.
The use of AI for both tracking and then for therapy purposes has been significant. China had already been moving down that path towards a technological pattern, and this is just going to accelerate it in probably some dramatic ways.
To deal with COVID-19, tech companies such as Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu are helping in areas like diagnosis, crowd screening, and epidemic control.
To fight with the COVID-19, Chinese technology industry actually is one of the main beneficiaries.
Will China's tech sector emerge as a pillar of strength amidst the continuing trade war and the rapid spread of the deadly virus? Insight travelled to China's Silicon Valley, Shenzhen, to see how it is dealing with the double whammy of a trade war and the COVID-19 outbreak. This is China's Silicon Valley, home to some of the world's mightiest technology companies. The existence of these companies is in line with China's dream of transforming the country from a manufacturing-reliant economy to one that is led by technology and innovations. It is also rooted in the vision of Made in China 2025 that seeks to turn the country into a global high-tech manufacturing giant. Of late, this high-end technology sector has received a massive boost due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Instead of being forced onto the back foot by the economic slowdown, it's now able to march forward with greater confidence. For example, big data and AI are now being used to monitor the movement of China's 1.3 billion people in an effort to control the disease. The COVID-19 outbreak has also spurred facial recognition technology to help determine whether one has been in proximity with patients who've been infected by the disease. And hospitals are now using robotics in many things, from disinfecting to meal delivery.
The use of AI for both tracking and then for therapy purposes has been significant. China can move faster down this path than almost any other country because the privacy concerns are not as much of an impediment as they are in some Western countries. In the tech area, China has just gained 6 months in that race.
To help people live their daily lives more meaningfully, applications for things like online education and grocery shopping have gained strong traction. The number of people watching online videos and online education lessons has each increased by 24 million. More than 50 million students have joined an online classroom program on TikTok, with more than 600,000 teachers now using live streaming services on the same platform to conduct online classes. Ping An Good Doctor, an online healthcare ecosystem, has seen their new users grow 10 times since the outbreak. The company says patients have used its smartphone app to talk to doctors 1.1 billion times since the epidemic began.
The crisis itself probably create some interesting scenarios because for example, many people's activities now become relocate to the cloud areas. So for example, students they learn from the software. When a lot of people change their activities, then you will see the companies will also shift. So traditionally, China relies on investment on physical infrastructures, invest on physical stuffs. But if company observe so many people using digital platforms, when they learn, when they interact, company will invest more on intangible, assets such as data, such as software.
On the entertainment front, Tencent picked up millions of new gamers during the outbreak. The quest for entertainment among millions who are confined to their homes translated into a big boost for Tencent's marquee games, Honor of Kings and Peacekeeper Elite. That helped the company gain at $25 billion of market value up to March 5th, before a global market rout torpedoed the stock along with the rest of the market.
For Alibaba and Jingdong, they really benefited from SaaS because at the time I was studying in Beijing, and in the first 2 years you didn't hear about anything of those two companies. After SaaS, all of a sudden people need all those daily necessities, medicines, food delivery, and Jingdong and Alibaba took advantage of the crisis and became online. I think COVID-19 would be similar to SARS. After this epidemic, some of the habits will stay. It will be permanent. Some of the companies will really benefit from this crisis, like ByteDance. They have the TikTok, and also for companies like online cooking, online education, digital service, and gaming. So those companies gain big. And I think even after the COVID-19, people would continue to subscribe a lot more than before.
A lot of the technology empowering these online initiatives have come out of one Chinese city, Shenzhen. It is home to some of the country's biggest tech firms, including Tencent, ZTE, Huawei, and DJI. As a technology and innovation hub, Shenzhen often represents China's city of the future. It's also one of China's major manufacturing centers where you can build almost anything you can imagine from scratch. Shenzhen's rise as a high-tech hub, however, did not come about overnight. And here's a sense of how it happened. The annual Shenzhen Maker Fair is a showcase of talent, innovation, and all things cool in the world of robotics and engineering. It's the reason why Shenzhen has earned a name for itself as China's Silicon Valley.
创客是一群通过自己的技能，然后呢，把与众不同的想法，把它创造出来，并且转化成有用的项目的这样的一群群体。OK。 从中国的这个土壤来讲，我们从2015年国家政策面也开始在大力的支持以后呢，就吸引了更多的人来参与到这个 Maker 的这个群体中，并且投身到这个创业的这样的，大家会从这种兴趣爱好慢慢的向这种专业化、职业化做转变，通过商业化的可能性把它对接到产业端。对，这个我觉得是在深圳的 Maker Fair 比较明显的一个属性。
Now into its 8th year, the Maker Fair is an event supported by the Shenzhen government. Following a visit to Shenzhen by Premier Li Keqiang in 2015, over 1,000 maker spaces were set up to encourage companies to develop new products instead of copying existing ones. The Maker movement is one component in the Chinese government's overall plan to make Shenzhen the foremost technology hub of the country.
OK， 好。 就是从创客会员，然后成长为公司的一家单位。韩玉，你来介绍一下你们的项目。
我们这个项目是做一个的3D 摄像头，它比我们普通的摄像头呢是能够多一个信息，就是它能知道每一个像素点离这个镜头有多远，所以呢我们就可以拿它来做机器人的避障，它能够感知这些周边的这些信息。
他们这次带到这个 Maker Faire 现场的是一个就叫点云智能的一个视觉整体解决方案。在这个方案里面呢，是可以通过加装他们的方案来代替我们传统的这种工业场景里面需要人力去完成的一些工作。我举个例子，比如说在我们的流水线里面，原本是需要这个人工去进行一些这种残次品的这种分拣啊等等的时候，如果我们用这个方案去加上机械臂，那我们就完全可以把这个人工的部分就替代掉了。那这样可以更高效的或者更精准的去完成很多这种制造相关的一些这种工序。嗨，耶，给米菜，耶，握个手，耶，这是做了一个正准备上众筹的一个3D 打印机，然后这个3D 打印的特性是什么？
就是按静音，然后高精度，然后很美观的工业设计。
就首先我听了一下，就是真的是没有听到什么声音，所以它是一个超静音的。因为我们平时像我们空间里面自己也有3D 打印机，但是它会有比较大的声音，所以这个它就把声音的一个降噪给处理掉了，做得比较好。第二个呢，看上去非常的小巧，就是形态是非常可爱的，就是很易用家用，对吧？一个 maker 他想要去快速的去做一个机器人的可能性，那机器人它一般需要主控，需要舵机，但是它还需要结构。但是这个结构的话，可能用3D 打印就是最快的。我看到我手上拿到的这个，应该就是一个4足的机器人，就是用3D 打印机打出来的。对。我们这次有非常多的这个国际化的团队过来参加。那今天带大家这一家就是来自韩国的一个学生团队。这次呢，他们会带上很多非常有意思的机器人项目，然后过来向大家去展示。比如说我们刚刚看到的，如果是一般的机器人，可能就是那种很金属样子的，但是他们作为学生，就非常想要给他们去加上一些造型。Maker Faire 的这种展示的群体来讲呢，我觉得也非常感动。这样的学生，他们可以远道从韩国来现场去分享他们的这个作品和项目。还有英国、日本，然后像那个马来西亚、印度等等啊。
From a cluster of fishing villages, Shenzhen has now been transformed into a mega city and China's technological and economic powerhouse. Its rapid transformation has even attracted US-born entrepreneur Carrie Leong. She started an initiative called STEAMhead. Its aim is to help communities increase their capacity to become makers and take advantage of the technology boom in China.
Actually reminds me of Silicon Valley, like when I was growing up. Makers are super open. I can't iterate enough how much sharing goes on here. Not just makers, but entrepreneurs and businesses. They support all of our educational efforts with either knowledge, product, expertise, use of space, like that sharing, so that we can propagate the maker mindset, or like helping the kids innovate in classrooms that don't have these resources or don't have access to these resources. Shenzhen itself has a maker manifesto for schools, and it's an amazing document that, it kind of highlights why maker education should be integrated into every school. What they're trying to really create is, creative kids that can critically think, and kids that can, do better than AI or automation in terms of developing our next generation's solutions to challenges or products.
Whether it's through hard work, sheer genius, technology theft, or a combination of all three, China has now emerged as a global tech powerhouse. As of 2019, it has more unicorns than the US. Unicorns are privately held startup companies valued at over $1 billion US. China has 206 such firms, while the US has 203. Most of China's unicorns are located in Shenzhen. But how have their innovations benefited the country in the fight against the COVID-19 outbreak? Shenzhen, the testbed of China's market economic reforms starting in the late 1970s, boasts several hometown champions among the world's technology giants. Huawei Technology, the largest maker of 5G telecommunications structure. DJI, the biggest maker of recreational drones. And Tencent Holdings, the dominant Chinese games publisher and social media network operator. These companies are now playing an important role in the fight against COVID-19. The rapid growth of these local companies, among others, represents the success of China's tech revolution. It also heralds the emergence of Shenzhen from a cluster of fishing villages into a thriving metropolis. The city's transformation began in 1979 when Deng Xiaoping, the country's former leader, created the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone. Today, it is one of the richest cities in China. The city's population had surged from 30,000 some 30 years ago to more than 12 million in 2017. Up to 80% of Shenzhen's residents are migrants. David Li runs Shenzhen Open Innovation Lab. It's an incubator space for makers from around the world to communicate and cooperate. And he is the go-to person on anything which has to do with tech business in Shenzhen.
I think Shenzhen is the first special economic zone in China. It was set up in 1980. To basically to experiment. That's what one of the city's characteristics. It's very experimental. It tried everything new.
Today, a group of international businessmen have come to David's office to get his insights on new billion-dollar industries in China.
There's a picture. I'd like to get started with the top. This is a real device you can find in China. This is a facial recognition enabled public toilet paper dispenser. Again, facial recognition toilet paper dispenser for public restroom. This is a real device. It's growing very fast in China.
Why do you need that?
China is such a paranoia country. Such a totalitarian surveillance dictatorship. They want to know every single minute of what the people are doing. But here's the reality. The reason this machine is popular is not because it's driven by some political agenda. It's actually solving a very real problem. These people in their 60s, they lived through the worst time in China. So when you grow up in that area at that time, there is a survival instinct. Any public resource you can get your hand on, you will try to grab as much as possible. And when the facial recognition becomes viable, it becomes the most intuitive, the most natural way to solve this problem. You show up, you show your face, you get the toilet paper, and for the next 9 to 12 minutes, you cannot go back and get more. Right now, we are pretty much building billion-dollar industry out of these things across China. And, well, I mean, it's a country of 1.4 billion, so we got a lot of public presence.
The facial recognition toilet paper dispenser is just one of a huge range of AI tech widely adopted in China today. AI is being used to control traffic in hundreds of smart cities, at ports, and now it is playing a critical role in the COVID-19 outbreak. In February, China launched a new close contact detector app that lets people check their level of risk for catching COVID-19. It tells users if they have been near someone suspected of having the virus. Such an app would not be possible without the Chinese government's pervasive, high-tech surveillance of its citizens. A national video camera network, facial recognition software, and artificial intelligence combine to ensure that anonymity is almost impossible, although it's not clear which elements are being used to power the app. The system is also being used to ensure citizens obey self-quarantine orders. According to reports, individuals who flouted the order and left home would get a call from the authorities, presumably after being tracked by the system.
The virus transmits via, there's human-to-human transmission for this COVID-19, and then if you can trace people's traveling history, so probably you will know the close contact of these people. So the big data in this case could be used at the individual level. So you can find out people's traveling history across China, and also, from China to any other countries.
Facial recognition using AI capabilities has been a sore point for the US. In October last year, the US sanctioned China's facial recognition industry, citing human rights violations and abuses in the implementation of China's campaign of repression, mass arbitrary detention, and high-technology surveillance against Uyghurs, Kazakhs, and other members of Muslim minority groups in Xinjiang.
The facial recognition questions how it's going to be used is a technical issue, but it's also now a political issue. One of the new forces in the United States and some other Western countries is to restrict connections with China because of links to human rights violations. And that is a whole new chapter. Hong Kong will be one of those issues, the other is Xinjiang. So I think we're into a new chapter of where the United States is going to try to pressure China for some elements and the usage of facial recognition technologies.
The company behind the Close Contact app is state-owned firm China Electronics Technology Group Corporation. It's also responsible for much of the surveillance technology deployed in Xinjiang. The COVID-19 outbreak is happening amidst a US-China trade war, and the tech sector plays a big part in trying to manage the fallout from the two key challenges facing the Chinese economy.
China is going to win in terms of the AI war. It's not because there's a better research here. It's not because there's a more cutting-edge technology here. It's China is one of the best places to experiment with AI without prejudice, without any kind of the philosophical discussions. Do it. If it works, people buy it. That's a reason for it to exist. If it doesn't, then the system dies. So right now there are literally tens of thousands, hundreds of companies around China taking mature AI technology and try to make application out of it.
公司呢叫优爱智和，然后主要做是机器人这一块的，跟移动机器人相关的，我们一般都有设计。
UiBot is one of thousands of tech companies in Shenzhen which uses AI technology in all their creations. The strong entrepreneurial culture, as well as the supportive environment that prevails in Shenzhen, have made the city one of the most innovative hotspots in the world today, a place where ideas can grow and thrive.
17年的7月31号从西安来的深圳，然后在深圳其实有很多很吸引我的地方，因为在深圳呢，这个硬件高度的发达，然后周边的供应链很完备，然后在这边呢也有非常多的年轻人，他愿意去做机器人，愿意这个和初创公司一起进行成长，这在很多全国别的地方是完全没有的。机器人呢，它就通过雷达来扫描周边的环境，就是它的眼睛，它可以去通过看到周边的环境来判断自己的位置，然后一步一步的跑到它想要去的位置里边。 对，这样的话就解决了咱们在工厂里边人拉着东西去搬运 所以说它是一个全型的，它就是可以这个在工厂或者巡检里边不会伤到人，这才是机器人跟人的一个状态，就是机器人不会去碰到或伤害人类，这是我们也在做这个机器人的一些理念。
Robots using similar technology are now being deployed in hospitals across China to fight the COVID-19 outbreak. Increasingly, robots now play an essential role of delivering medicines and sending meals, thereby helping to allay serious concerns over the possibility of cross-infections. Cody and his team have also developed robots capable of disinfecting premises as well as temperature-taking robots. They took 2 weeks to build it after the outbreak started, and they've had orders coming in from hospitals all across China.
从最早的5个人到现在接近50个人在这里去做一些研发生产，然后从刚开始没有任何订单到现在1年有几千万的订单，其实非常的难得。
The reality is, despite the growing fears over the health impact of the COVID-19 outbreak, the crisis has opened up new business opportunities. Robotics is certainly one of those industries which stand to benefit. It lies at the heart of China's Silicon Valley and has earned a reputation as the hardware paradise. The iconic Huaqiangbei district in Shenzhen is the biggest electronics market in the world. Shut for the longest period in its history during the COVID-19 outbreak, Huaqiangbei is now open for business again.
Yeah, so we're in Shenzhen, Huaqiangbei, and this is an electronics market here. So yeah, let's go check it out. Huaqiangbei is like, they call it the mecca of hardware. If I'm looking for a particular type of microcontroller, for example, that I need to prototype with, I can come down here and there's like a really wide selection. Oftentimes, if it's not actually on display, so I don't speak Chinese, but the people here are so willing to bridge the gap in communication. They just want to help out. So what I can do is show them a part number. And often, if they don't have it, they can speak around and like call around to some of their friends that do. And you'll often be like waiting here for a couple of minutes, someone runs off, and then like, you know, in 5 minutes time, they've come back with exactly the component that you need. So it's really incredible being here.
Huaqiangbei is where you can find the parts used in many electronic devices such as smartphones and TV and tablets. This is also where many of the world's selfie sticks and hoverboards come from. And all the tools you need to build anything you want. Once you find it, you can get that component in 1 hour. And you can even order it by the thousands.
We're prototyping, we're testing on our benches. It's so easy for us to, say, plug in power the wrong way round. And once we do that, we get what's called the blue smoke. So one of our chips on our board can just explode, it fries, and then you get blue smoke going through the air. And at that point, you know, if you're anywhere else in the world, you think, oh my God, I've got to order this online, a replacement chip, and it will take a few days to arrive. And instead here, we can just walk downstairs, like 2 floors down in this building, find that chip from a market stall downstairs and then continue our work straight away. So being able to iterate in hours rather than waiting for days and days. I think it's really true what they say is a month in Shenzhen is similar to 4 months anywhere else in the world.
To take advantage of the famed Shenzhen speed, a number of international startups have moved here. Most renowned of them is HAX, a startup accelerator that also offers venture funding. HAX has a portfolio of more than 200 startups from sectors like smartphone devices, Internet of Things, robotic kits, and medical devices.
We have our office in Silicon Valley, and San Francisco and Shenzhen actually kind of work together in order to get teams to their next stage of development. So when teams come to Shenzhen, they're often working on their engineering, their technology, and then when they go to San Francisco, they're often working on their business development and getting investment and starting to scale up their business from a financial standpoint. Shenzhen, especially from engineering or technical standpoint, it's almost like the center of everything that's made in the physical world. And really the scale and expertise in supply chain that exists here doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. So ultimately, when we started investing in hardware and products and these types of robotics and IoT, the answer was always we have to be in Shenzhen.
Xiong's startup is one of the companies under the HAX umbrella.
Our company is based in the US, in California. And yeah, we're building a robot which is going to be for farms. It's an agricultural robot, so farmers are our customers, and we're killing weeds for them without herbicides. You can think of it as we're building agricultural machines for a future where we don't need herbicides anymore.
Xiong's robot kills weeds by spraying hot oil on it. The machine is capable of scanning for weeds in a vast field, and also delivering hot oil precisely without killing the crops.
This is what we have. Well, we're disrupting the world of herbicides, and the world spends $27 billion on herbicides every year. And unfortunately, their overuse has created these herbicide-resistant weeds, which are becoming more and more difficult to kill, and they really threaten the future of our food security. So in order to make sure that we have a future where we can grow food safely and sustainably, we need solutions like this to be in the world.
My name is Jan Kędzierski. I come from Poland, and I'm a co-founder of MS Company. So we come to China 3 years ago for the acceleration program that took place in the HAX. This guy is a social robot for kids, very young kids, in age 3 to 7, more or less. And with this robot, kids can learn foreign languages. So currently we are focusing on English, and the robot can provide several attractive games for kids in this age, and they can practice English every day.
Please show me a tomato. Again, a tomato. Wonderful, you're doing great.
Let's say if you'd like to find some particular part, you have to fit the product, fit the whole design, and you need it today before the lunch. We can go downstairs on the market and buy so many these kind of buttons and try them. Like if you'd like to make this kind of screen, we can go to the factory that is in Shenzhen or in Dongguan and talk directly to the manager and explain them how our project looks like and why we need exactly this kind of screen. And they can help us to choose the right glass, right screen, and everything we can get back like in a week.
So I would say the thing that just like over and over gets me really excited is the underlying entrepreneurial culture here, just how fast everybody's moving, how people are interacting, expectations that they hold of each other, that things just get done, right? And everybody's wanting to do better, wanting to do more, to the point where I've lived in Europe, I've lived in the States, and it's a very different feeling, right? If you come here, everybody's just moving as fast as they possibly can. And I would say, I mean, there's always going to be economics up and downs, but the underlying drive that's happening in the culture of China right now is going to continue to advance new opportunities and new growth that I think we're just not even seeing coming yet.
But that new growth trajectory has obviously been impeded by the COVID-19 outbreak, and the fight against the viral epidemic is far from over. China now faces a titanic challenge of getting the world's second-largest economy back into shape. A full recovery will take some time. Adding to its misfortune is the ongoing trade war with the US and the growing systemic rivalry between the world's first and second largest economies for technological supremacy. Even as the US deals with the economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic on its shores, President Trump still has time to sign a legislation that bars rural telecom carriers from using Huawei network equipment technologies.
Some of us had hoped that this would be a time for a kind of truce in U.S.-China recrimination and competition. To the contrary, the rhetoric has heated up, where we see that the tech wars are not slowing down. And while U.S. Congress could meet, there's a number of new regulations that were being put in place against a variety of Chinese companies. There is no indication of a ceasefire. In fact, it's likely to accelerate. The Trump administration, the words that it is using in trying to frame this as a Chinese virus or a Wuhan virus, is indicative of some American interests in blaming the outside. It plays into the agenda of protecting Americans at home. And this is not helping.
But in spite of all the restrictions being imposed on Chinese-made products, it has not dampened China's innovative spirit. An hour away from Shenzhen downtown is Sivga, a company making headphones. You may not have heard of them, but Sivga has had rave reviews from audiophiles in Europe and the US. Their headphones feature handcrafted wooden ear cups and intricately detailed metal grills. The man behind Sivga is Zhou Jian, who has done work for global brands like Sennheiser, Sony, and Bose for 17 years.
我接触的这个客户给的案件很多，这其中有很多都是国外提供的那个客户提供的那些 idea， 因为我觉得发现他们的 idea 总有很多的特点，令我很震撼。 真的是他们的很有创意，很有灵感。以我们的这边的，因为这边中国这边当时还没有是很在创意这个路上还没走在这一块，所以呢，我很感受到他的这个创意各方面的。然后做到我完成这一块之后，然后我是慢慢的去积累啊，然后吸收啊、消化，看看他们其中的特点啊、优点啊。 我能不能如果是我来做的话，我能不能在这个基础上，我会把它做得更好，会去超越它。
Zhou Jian is now giving his previous bosses a run for their money. Not only has Sivga been doing well in global competitions, its headphones are also far cheaper compared to the other long-established brands.
之前吧，在中国很多有一大部分都是在这个山寨高仿。 这样的一个过程，因为每一个国家也好，公司也好，它从零开启的东西呢，它必须要有一个模仿，然后一个吸收、消化、应用，然后超越就是一个创新上面去了。特别是深圳已经走完了那一段路了，已经在创新的这个路上，所以我们的公司，因为我们以前也积累了那么多的这个经验啊，然后我们已经开公司的时候也在往这个创新路上走，因为以前的路已经走过了。
After 4 decades of reforms and opening up, Chinese companies are now able to produce world-class premium products to rival that of the US. The fact of the matter is that China is now a major global technology power in its own right.
The challenge to the United States is fundamentally not intellectual property theft. It's a China that can innovate on its own in ways that give it a competitive advantage. Imitation was important a few years ago. It isn't so much now.
But will the COVID-19 outbreak and the continuing trade war with the US throw a spanner in the works and upset China's growing ambition to be the next global technology leader? More than 3 months after COVID-19 first wreaked havoc in China, Chinese authorities have begun to relax travel curbs to and from Hubei province, the area worst affected by the disease. At the main manufacturing hubs in the east and south, hundreds of thousands of migrant workers are seen returning to work. Although confidence is gradually being restored, the impact of the ongoing trade war with the US is still being felt by many quarters. In one factory in Shenzhen, it has indeed been a dramatic roller coaster year for business following the trade war.
贸易战这一块到美国的话，我们这一类的扫地机就增加了25%的关税。那25%的关税，这一轮损失的是谁？第一个，我们制造商、制造业；第二个就是代理业；第三个就是消费者。
For over a decade, Matsutech built its business as an OEM manufacturer for big Western brands. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer, a class of companies that produces equipment or components used by another company, which would then sell them to consumers as finished products. In Matsutech's case, they supplied their components or products to firms such as Philips and Honeywell. That strategy proved successful at least in the past 2 decades, helping Matsutech grow into the world's second largest maker of robotic vacuum cleaners. That came to a halt when China was hit by the trade war with the US, and the company joined the long list of corporate casualties. Terry says it was a moment of crisis for the company.
因为贸易战的关系，所以出口量是一直就是下滑了。所以我们当时就是整共的差不多的11条线，就是减掉了3条线，就减掉了3条线的人员，差不多将近也有200多人吧，200多人。作为企业来讲，第一背负的社会责任，对员工的社会责任；第二，企业本身的这种对产品的某种感情和纠结在吧，所以我们内心其实是非常不好受的。那员工也是一样，那跟着我们企业一起打拼的这些员工，我们也不会想去轻易去放弃它。
So, instead of abandoning the work which has been built over decades, he had to think of a new corporate strategy in order to survive the tough economic environment. The first thing that came to mind was to relocate, and Vietnam became the preferred destination. Vietnam had seen an increase of over 60% in foreign direct investment in the manufacturing sector in 2019. But the mass influx of foreign investment, especially from Chinese companies, had created other problems, including surging land and rent prices.
当初我们是想说整个搬过去，我们最终没有走到这条路，因为这一块，其实上后来美国政府其实对越南也提出了一个信号。我有可能对越南的产品也要进行增加关税这一块的这些，所以我们最终还是放弃了这个计划。
It was time for another major strategic rethink. So in early 2019, Matsutech switched its focus to its own Jiawei Shi and Babazhou vacuum cleaners, promoting them on China's e-commerce platforms. Instead of focusing on the US market as OEM manufacturers, they will now focus on the China market.
那像扫地机器人，那在欧美的市场，它保持15%到17%的这种渗透率，是一直在持续的、稳定的。那中国从0.3%到1.7%，用了不到2年的时间，所以它的增比速度是非常快，是非常的快。所以那个时候我们就发现了这些问题，所以我们对自有品牌的这一块的规划，我们后续的重点包括我们在中国大陆以及东南亚的国家。
That plan to market its own brand proved to be a good strategy. Matsutech also intends to reopen the 2 assembly lines it shut down and add 3 more in the months ahead. Profit margins for selling their own brand is also higher.
人员不是在裁员，我们还一直在增员呢。
But just as Matsutech was about to expand its business, the COVID-19 outbreak hit China. And that has inflicted a major blow to the company. After the initial supply chain was disrupted due to factory shutdowns, Matsutech, like many other manufacturing firms across China, are now facing cancelled orders and fewer opportunities to gain new customers as the virus grips the world.
This is going to be the worst year on record, perhaps with the exception of the Korean War, for the Chinese economy and the global economy. I think that when China came out of the 2008 financial crisis, it hit it for a quarter, but it was able to rebound in part because international demand was there for Chinese products. The supply chains were working. This one is going to be a lot more difficult. And what we thought a few months ago was going to be just principally a Chinese problem is a global problem, and the interactive effects are extremely worrisome. The references to 1928, 1929, the beginning of a Great Depression, are not far-fetched, and each week they become more plausible. So will China be hit? Absolutely. Will it be first in and first out? Possibly. But it won't be easy, the world it's coming out into.
For Chinese economy this year, we think it's going to be very gloomy because our forecast currently for the 2020 GDP growth is only 1%, and there is a high risk it's going to be lower than that. But for the tech industry, it is something different. The tech sector in China will get a major boost during this epidemic because after this crisis, we immediately heard this new expression like something called new infrastructure. And at the center of that, it is artificial intelligence, big data, 5G especially. So those companies will get not just more favorable policies, but also state-led investment or private investment as well. In the midterm and long term, Shenzhen is in definitely a better position to recover and also lead the technology transformation of China. But one caveat here is that we have to remember the trade war with the US is not over yet.
On the economic front, the unprecedented shutdown of normal economic activity across Europe, the US, and a growing number of emerging markets is certain to cause a dramatic contraction in Chinese exports. On the political front, between the trade war and the coronavirus, US-China relations are becoming increasingly tense. The fallout from the COVID-19 outbreak has put Beijing and Washington on a collision course. The rest of Asia can only brace for what is to come.